God knows, I wanted to avoid the American politics topic as hard as possible, but after the recent Donald Trump's comments, guys, I have to say something about it because it directly touches my country, Ukraine. I want to be as neutral as possible, but I have to tell you about the story of the conflict between Donald Trump and Zelensky. And let's listen to what Donald Trump started to say on his recent rallies.
Biden and Kamala got us into this war in Ukraine, and now they can't get us out. They can't get us out.
Biden and Kamala got us, so Americans, into this war in Ukraine. Well, actually, Putin started this war and America supports Ukraine with military help. And this help is barely enough for Ukraine to hold on. Moreover, the United States and the White House administration did everything for this war not to start. They warned Putin many of the times that you'll be under sanctions, that there will be a response from Ukraine if you start this stupid war. There were direct communications between Putin and Putin plus other allies like, for example, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. But Putin, after all, had decided to attack Ukraine anyways. Putin was overconfident about his attack on Kiev and many other territories and his blitzkrieg operation, which, as we see, failed. Now he plays a long game. That's why Ukraine requires more support, and White House administration actually was up to give the major package for the military support for Ukraine, but somehow the MAGA group blocked it the last year, and that brought more of the losses for Ukraine, and now Ukraine requires even more military support. Those are the freaking facts. I believe that the United States of America did everything for this war not to start, but it was a Putin's solo decision to start this war. The White House administration had no any influence on this crazy Putin's idea.
I watched him. We will. He's been saying that for 3 years.
Now Trump is mocking Joe Biden for a "we will win" concept, and Ukraine, I believe, should win. Otherwise, other dictators, including Putin himself, will see that West is weak, that you can push the other country and achieve the result with a military action. It will lead us to the catastrophic outcome, with many of the wars appear on the globe. So Ukraine absolutely should win, and here Trump says about other alternative. What kind of Donald Trump? To let Russia win in Ukraine? Well, here he speaks about this possible scenario. It's the outcome of his entire speech, that the United States of America should just quit supporting Ukraine and other allies also, and let Russia finish its job.
Every time Zelensky comes to the United States, he walks away with $100 billion. I think he's the greatest salesman on earth.
Every time on his every rally he says those words, but here he rises the stakes. Now Zelensky comes out with $100 billion. Before it was 60 billion, now 100. So Zelensky is even better salesman than he was before. But what does Zelensky sell to get such huge sum of money? Well, Zelensky sells the tragedy of Ukraine. Really, it is happening. The salesman, as Trump calls him, is actually the ambassador who delivers the message from Ukrainian people. So by making Zelensky, Trump also does the same stuff with the Ukrainian people and the tragedy of Ukraine. He presents Zelensky as some sort of the salesman who needs money on his own for his own pockets because he is greedy and there is corruption in Ukraine. Yes, there is corruption in Ukraine, as there is corruption also in the United States. In Ukraine, it's on bigger scale, but it's not far away from Romania or Bulgaria, which are in the European Union, so they fit the European Union standards, don't they? And moreover, Ukraine doesn't obtain those funds. Mostly there is a military support packages delivered to Ukraine to fight against Russia. So Ukraine comes to the friend, to the United States, and saying, "My friend, please help me. I've been beaten by this ugly, crazy guy, Russia. I want to be like you. You are the United States. Please help me, please, because they're killing our people, really." And the friend tells you, no, go away, get lost. You're just greedy bastard. I'll let Russia beat you. That's it. You just need my United States dollars. That's the logic of Trump, really. He is a businessman and he values money more than people's lives. I mean, there are good businessmen as well who donate for charity and other stuff, but in Trump's case, it's kind of interesting, let's say. Yeah, guys, I tried to be as neutral as possible, but here with the speech or not, listen now and I speak directly what I think, and I think that my opinion as Ukrainian is truthful relative to the current situation. Trump is just It's just a populist with this rhetoric towards Ukraine. But anyways, let's go with this speech. Let's continue this crazy stuff.
But we're stuck in that war unless I'm president. I'll get it done. I'll get it negotiated. I'll get out. We got to get out.
Trump always speaks about negotiations with Zelensky, with Putin, but at the same time, then Zelensky is in the United States and he is willing to speak with Donald Trump. Trump doesn't want to speak with Zelensky. Zelensky wanted to present his formula, but Trump doesn't want even to hear of it. He has his own plan of negotiations, the peace plan, but we do not see it in real life. Trump is not sharing it openly. What he said is that I will negotiate with Putin. If Putin doesn't want to stop this war, we're gonna pour more of the weapons to Ukraine. If Ukraine doesn't want to stop this war, we're gonna cancel all of the military support for Ukraine, and that is what I think Trump will do, because there is the conflict between him and Zelensky clearly. I think that Zelensky also did a mistake, to be honest, saying that Trump is not competent, blah blah blah, because still Trump has the position in which he might win the next elections. So we need to find a common solution how to deal with him in this case. Guys, you probably know my attitude towards Zelensky, but nevertheless he is the representative of Ukrainian people, and if Trump doesn't want to speak with him, he doesn't care about the future of Ukraine in general.
Biden says, we will not leave until we win. What happens if they win? That's what they do, is they fight wars. As somebody told me the other day, we will not. Biden says, we will not leave until we win. What happens if they win? That's what they do, is they fight wars. As somebody told me the other day, they beat Hitler, they beat Napoleon. That's what they do, they fight. And
about Hitler and Napoleon, he says about Russia that they win the wars, that Russia is a mighty power. It seems like Putin wrote that text to Donald Trump, because after all, Hitler was fought with a coalition of the countries, including the United States of America, which supplied lots of the stuff with Lend-Lease to the Soviet Union. Without it, Hitler would have been in Moscow and Stalin would just shit his pants. Instead, Stalin is now a national hero for most of Russians as well as for Putin, but it only happened because of the military support from the United States, and it also happened because the United Kingdom fought Germany in the skies and in the sea. And he is not saying that Russia started the Second World War together with Nazi Germany, then they were just allies. Yes, they attacked Poland from both of the sides and zeroed the country. About Napoleon, well, it seems like Donald Trump also needs to learn some of the history.
But, you know, we've given them close to $300 billion. And you know what Europe has given them? Which is approximately our size when you add up the countries together. Their economy, it's very close to our size. They've given them like a small fraction of that number, just a small, very small fraction.
Well, here we are on the website of the Institute for the World Economy. They have the statistics for the government support of Ukraine by months in euros, starting from January 24th, 2022, so 1 month before the full-scale war in Ukraine, until June 2024. We see that the United States had allocated 1.5 billion euros before the war had started in Ukraine. It was the support with javelins and so on. And there we have the support by month, so blue is the European Union and amber is the United States of America. So totally till June 30th, United States allocated already 75.1 billion euros, which is around 82 billion United States dollars. We know that the bill for the military support of Ukraine signed by the larger sum, but little by little United States of America allocate those funds with those small packages. That's why for now it's 75 billion euros, not $300 billion as Donald Trump says. It's a total lie. And look at here, it's Europe, 110 billion euros allocated for the support of Ukraine, and Donald Trump called it as a tiny little fraction. Then in fact it's even a greater number compared to what United States supported to Ukraine. Yes, United States supported Ukraine with lots of the weaponry, but Europe supported the Ukrainian budget, they support the Ukrainian infrastructure, energy sector and so on, plus military as well. So in fact Europe is all in for support of Ukraine, and here you can see the mega initiative which played a very bad role for what is happening on the front lines right now. Last year, October-December 2023, then a new military package should have been voted. MAGA blocked everything, mainly in the Congress with the help of their puppet speaker Mike Johnson. And because of this gap, Ukraine wasn't able to prepare for this summer campaign. Because of that, Russia takes more territories of Ukraine. Because you prepare for the next year during the cold period of the previous year, like for example this winter, is very crucial for Ukraine to obtain more military support to be successful against the Russian attacks in 2025. That's how it works, but Donald Trump doesn't want to allocate those funds. He wants Ukraine to lose. If Ukraine loses, many other countries will lose too, including United States. I mean, it will not be the military loss, but the loss in economy, in reputation, and in security of the world. So I show you guys how politicians usually lie, how they manipulate with numbers, how they misconcept the population, which is fooled by their failed rhetorics. After all, it's not about Trump, he's just this shining star which we see, and he lies really a lot compared to other politicians. But I must say kind of the similar stuff to other politicians, including politicians in Ukraine. Zelensky also lied many of the times, but here it's the total fake from Donald Trump which will influence Ukraine. And we see the further steps of Donald Trump if he gets elected. He would do everything for Ukraine to lose this war. I can already see it. Guys, if you like the videos and if you want to support my motivation, you may do it via Patreon. The link for my Patreon page I'll put in the video description right below. Thank you so much for your kind support. The House Speaker Johnson also doesn't want to speak with Vladimir Zelensky. Come on, Johnson, you're speaker, so you need to speak. But he says that hurricane is coming. Well, it basically shows that he doesn't really want to speak with Zelensky. That's it. Yeah, for me it was hard to speak about this topic, but you know, I have to do it because the political events influence Ukraine a lot, and we'll see what might happen in the future. Now let's go to the other updates. We have the confirmation from the deep state military map that after all Ukraine took those territories from the Russian side in Vovchansk. That's the city on the northern part of Kharkiv where Russia tried to advance. Already half a year ago they advertised it as the way to go to Kharkiv, but they were stopped by Ukrainian defenders and there is no movement for a very long time from their side. Ukraine liberates sometimes land there with small counterattacks. But Russia has the advantage in other frontline spots. For example, if we speak about Pokrovsk, there is the movement of the Russian forces day by day. They took this ground for today and also moved over here, so probably they're gonna bypass this village and go southbound later on. Russia also occupies Novalsky village little by little. It's not good because they already disturbed the communication for supplies for Ukrainian army in this sector. For Vuhledar, the situation there is critical for Ukraine. Russia will obviously take this town under control, and that's how they will open the way for their own supplies in communication between Donetsk Oblast and the south of Ukraine. And we don't see any signs that Putin might stop this war. His aim is to continue till they occupy all of the Donetsk Oblast. That's why I don't think that the war is going to be over very soon. That's how Vuhledar looks like right now. It's not CGI, it's not the video game, it's a real image from the Ukrainian drone, from the thermal camera. Russia just demolishes the town with their aviation bombs, with artillery, everything basically. One more notice from the Czech president Petr Pavel. He said about the possible victory of Ukraine. He said that if the price of the victory will be the elimination of half of the Ukrainian population, it's not the victory any longer. Yes, partially I agree with that too. Because after all, the territories doesn't matter if there are no people living there. And it's a huge tragedy of Ukraine, which Putin started. I mean, he started the full-scale war, which brings losses not just for Ukraine, but also for Russia. And for Russia, those losses are critical. They lose way more soldiers compared to Ukraine, but at the same time, Russia brings more devastation to civilians in Ukraine by using their cruise missiles, drones, and aviation bombs, as they did bombing Mariupol. So we see how many politicians are pushing Ukraine for some sort of the deal with the Russian Federation to stop the fight at the current borders with no real security guarantees, and basically it's the Minsk II agreements. 100% Russia will violate those because it's the logic of the Russian regime. Putin doesn't want Ukraine to exist. And if, let's say, Ukraine gives up to Russia in that case, just to save the people, the human lives, letting Russia to be victorious, to put their own puppet government, or I don't know, to occupy all of the Ukraine and make it the part of the Russian Federation. Well, in that case, there will be also great losses among Ukrainians because of the repressions in Russia. They'll implement those on pro-Ukrainian people and people who would not be okay with the Russian regime. And also Russia will start one more war. Why not, if they are successful in Ukraine? Why not to restore the Soviet Union? Because it's the logic of Putin. Not necessarily NATO countries, but Putin may go to Georgia. And what army Putin might use in this case? Yes, Ukrainians. They have the real battlefield experience, they have everything, so Ukraine in any case would have great losses. Yeah, you may say, Dennis, it's just your forecast, maybe the reality will be different. Well, maybe, but everything, all of the signs are showing that Russia is a new empire. They want to restore the old borders. Putin wants to do it. He says about it in his every interview that the greatest suffering for him and for Russia was the collapse of the Soviet Union. They want to unite the countries by power, by soft power. They use any means. And also they use lots of the funds to bribe people on the West to spread the Russian propaganda, to cancel the military support of Ukraine, for example. But even TikTok started to block some of the Russian news channels like RT, RIA Novosti, Sputnik. After all, the company started to follow the Western policy just not to be sanctioned. By the way, guys, I have my own Telegram channel, and there I post lots of the news about the recent events in Ukraine, around Ukraine, and not only. So please subscribe for me over there to be updated with more details. The link is in the video description just below. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on the situation in Ukraine. Now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.